Hi everyone, it's Veroosh and welcome to your Earth sign reading for the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. These are full-length videos that I'm filming together based on the element. The reason for this is if I just post for each individual sign, it's not going to get shown to as many people. So basically I can't post more than a certain number of videos in a day, and because the conjunction is happening right now, I want to get the information out to you all as soon as possible. So we're going to do full length videos today for the earth signs. It's going to go in the order of Virgo, Taurus, then Capricorn. And I'm excited to tell you guys about it. Maybe just to give you a little bit of a debrief in case you don't know. Jupiter and Neptune are forming a conjunction as we speak in Pisces. And the significant thing about this is that they're in rulership in Pisces. So they're both the rulers of Pisces and they're coming together. This is a very rare event that happens once every 160 years in the sign of Pisces. So they do come together in other signs, but in this rulership position, it only happens once every 160 years. And so this is a very benefic, positive energy. It's the beginning of a massive cycle in our lives. And it just really radiates out into new experiences and new forms of being. I mentioned this yesterday, that there was a lot of people saying that we're in new reality, especially since 2019. And I think that that's really true. The world has fundamentally shifted, whether you believe in astrology or not. And on a spiritual level, things have changed as well. And so with this Neptune-Jupiter conjunction, I feel as though there's a consciousness shift that's going on. It's a miracle moment. And some of you may not experience this as an explicit change, which means something drastic might not happen on this day in your life. But internally, or just in terms of the dynamics between people, the emotional dynamics, we're in the sign of Pisces here, the shift in emotions, the shift in perspective, all these things are changing. Yesterday I did the water signs, and that was really focused on relationships. Today we're going to do the earth signs, and we'll see how that really plays out as well. I did misspeak yesterday, and I said that the moon was in Virgo. I was looking at the chart for tomorrow, the 12th, and so the moon is actually in Leo right now. So my comments with regard to Saturn actually apply to today and yesterday. So what that means is Saturn is forming a square onto the nodes, the south and the north node, and this is a huge facet of the rest of the year. It's a huge influence on us for the rest of the year. And it's a challenge energy in a sense, but it's an energy that's meant to get us going where we need to go. And the square is very important. And we'll talk about that separately. But having said that, the moon in Leo, which is today, is going to oppose Saturn and create this massive grand cross with the nodes. And that's an activation point for that energy. I might come back and post something separately for this because it's a very different conversation than one we're having today. But just know that there's these two competing energies happening at the same time. And one is of restriction and rehashing things. That's the Saturn part. And then there's this expansive moment of consciousness shift, a change, a miracle moment. And that's what I'm here to talk to you guys about today. So why don't we start with Virgo? I've been doing Virgo last, so they get to go first today. And these are very long readings. We're going to start with the Braille, which is a deck that you guys know I like a lot. It's a light language deck. And we're going to just do some messages, then astrology. And then we are going to do a full horoscope spread reading for every single house and how this conjunction in the 7th house for Virgo is affecting you. And if you are watching this, this is applicable to people who have sun, moon, and rising in Virgo, or if you have just significant placements there, meaning if you have a lot of transits in Virgo, or if you have lots of transits in Virgo, or if you have like a specific conjunction of planets, not necessarily sun, moon, and rising, and for whatever reason you get lots of experiences, you want to watch this. So in yesterday's comments, somebody mentioned Leo placements and Gemini placements, and so if you have concentrations or something specific going. Hi guys, sorry I got booted off. The internet went wonky there for a minute, but I'm back. So if the internet gets funny, you know how they do. Just weird things going on sometimes. I don't know. Let's not get into it. It's a good energy. Just how do I say this? I have a problem with the internet that we know for a while, and I don't think that it's a coincidence that it does that. But that's just the way it is here in Canada. So let's move on. So Virgos, let's take a look at your reading. Let's see your first message. So we have time is your first energy. So remember, this is a pattern that will continue for you for the rest of your life. This transit happens once every 160 years. And so because it's so rare, this is going to be one of those seminal moments of change in your life. Time and action. I think that this is just reminding you that it's time to move forward, Virgo. It's time, if you've been waiting on things for quite a while, if you've been holding back on making certain changes, then maybe this is the time in which you're meant to take action on the things that you've been holding back on. I think that, how do I say this? There's a stifling energy here, which means that there's something about your life, something within your life that has been held back. And it's due to arrogance of other people. It's due to bad behavior, bad actors of the people around you, or maybe in some way a systemic issue, meaning a systemic issue is when something about your environment is faulty or broken, and it's holding you back by nature of that system. It's basically saying get out of the system, get out of that environment that you're in that is repressive or limiting, right? So like I said with the internet, that was a similar issue that I have. It's a systemic issue in Canada with the way people behave. Some people behave, and it causes people to do crappy things that I think they're doing with the internet, which you guys have known for years for me. So this is an example, a living example of what I mean. It's a systemic issue, meaning like the internet going off and on, somebody tampering with it just to mess with me. And I think they're here in Canada. I don't think it's something on the internet. So if you find yourself hampered, or if you find yourself held back, I'm not particularly oppressed by it. It's just, there's a truth about Canada. How do I say this without getting too just talk about things, but there's a truth about Canada that's pretty unfortunate with regard to how people behave and how some people think, and they do horrible things, systemic issues. They create a system of oppression within Canada, and it's funny because people hear of Canada as such a good place, but it's actually quite a conservative place in certain ways, and like the way people are sort of, it's not very kind and not very nice. So and not everyone, but there is a major issue here. So if you find yourself in a systemic issue of oppression, or if you find yourself around limiting factors, a Canadian person, a client of mine who's Canadian, said to me, they called it the tall poppy syndrome. So basically, if somebody stands higher above than the crowd, the energy towards them is malefic. So people try to hold other people back. That's that kind of energy. So if you're in a situation that's holding you back for whatever reason, whether it's the one I've described or some other system, and something has you oppressed, whether it's in your personal situations or whether it's in like a larger systemic issue, I think that this is saying it's time for you to take action. The conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune is in your 7th house, which means that's partnership. Now that can mean relationships, but that can also mean like, who are your allies and who are your friends in your relationships? Is your family holding you back? You know, are people around you? Is your partner holding you back? Are your kids holding you back? What is it about it? Is there no avenue for you to be yourself in the space that you're in? And I think that the reason I'm talking about so in depth about this, because I think it hits the nail on the head from having done so many Virgo readings. Of course, I see patterns in all of your signs, right? And one of the major patterns for Virgos is this tall poppy syndrome, you know, trying to level you out in your just attempt to be exceptional and an attempt to do well for yourself or others. So Virgo, food for thought, hopefully. So we have thought, there we go, number 47. And then we have goodness. So Virgo, I think that it's saying that think good thoughts and bring good thoughts into situations. That also, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a Virgo. Many of you guys know this, but if you're new, then hi, I'm a Virgo too. And so I've had a lot of downloads through this time. One of the reasons I've been quiet is listening. And so that's very true, that I've been reflecting a lot about how bad actors, especially in the online space with tarot and spirituality, really affected my well-being and the message that I was trying to bring to everyone, right? And so how our thoughts and our intentions of goodness are polluted by other people when they get their hooks into you and they try to degrade your quality. And this is something we do like in a public space, but then all of us go through this. So this is a reminder for Virgos to be very wary of energies that may want to problematize your positive energy and degrade it. And, you know, it's unavoidable. There is no perfection, and that's a Virgo trait. There is no perfection. There is no perfect state of goodness. However, we can try to reset as much as possible and get back on track with the messages and the energies that we want. And so, again, this is an encouragement to hold your good thoughts. And yes, there will be bad actors around you. And yes, there will be people that will try to level you or hold you back. But it's up to you. You get a chance with this conjunction to move forward. You get a chance with this conjunction to elevate, to get back on track, and to get in touch with the goodness that you want to bring to the world around you. Then we have the awakening. This is the last judgment. In other decks, it is ruled by Pluto. And then we have free will, which is the moon. So number 18. The first 21 cards of this deck represent the higher arcana and tarot. So we have the moon, which is Pisces, and this is Pluto energy. There's something definitely within you. There's a subtext for Virgos that I'm seeing here. The subtext means that there's things about your life and there's things about you that are unsaid, unspoken. And so we're definitely in the phase of, for Virgo energy in general, all the summer months, people, Pisces, not Pisces, Cancer, Gemini, even Leo and Virgo, definitely, and to some extent Libra and Scorpio. We're in that phase of quietude for those signs, honestly. And so that those signs are in the moment of introspection. And a lot of the things that are happening in the world around us are antithetical to the main point of our energies, if that makes sense. I'll talk about that somewhere else, but suffice it to say, Virgo, some of the energies around you, there's things about you that are underneath the surface. There's things that are not coming into fruition or manifestation in the way that you wanted them to. And that's not a bad thing. It's just saying it's time for you to start taking those things out and making them happen, and really question what systems and what situations around you may be holding you back. And they may not be personal things. They may be just an openness to women in your community. There could be religious or cultural beliefs about the role of women. There could be issues around racism or xenophobia in which there's no space, right, for you to enter in the way that you want it to be. But this isn't talking about that. This is, I'm acknowledging that those things are true, but this is actually about you taking action above that. So enough with being suppressed, enough with holding back, enough with having your thoughts kind of saturated with the negativity from others. And then also here, this is a very powerful combination from these higher arcana cards, which is your personal decision, the awakening, the woke, the choice of being woke and awaking yourself, and through the choice of your free will. And it's so interesting, this card is called free will, because free will and intentionality in the moon, it again touches into this consciousness, psychic energy. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot about spirituality in today's reading. I'm sure there's going to be a lot about like intuition and context. By the way, as I pick these oracle cards, they're little balls of felted yarn. I got a long time ago for crafts, but they keep falling out, and I just let them fall out. And I think they're just so pretty. So there's one. So I don't know if that's a message for you or what that means, but it's pink. So maybe it's a message of love. So for the first card is risk. So yes, so time and action, it's almost like a revolving door. So if you've ever been in front of a revolving door, you have to step in at the right moment to be pushed ahead into the right space. And so there's an element of risk of doing what you want and achieving what you want and moving forward in the way that you want to. But I think that this is encouraging you to take that risk, to sort of step away from the systems that are controlling you, that are suppressing you. It's time to assert yourself. And like I said, with the focus being sort of far away from Virgo at this time, we may, as Virgos, have an opportunity as a preparatory time to get ready for the big finale or the big outcome. Okay, so let's see the next message. So thought and goodness. We have resilience. Isn't that so beautiful? These angel cards are, you guys know the angel cards, right? They're very famous. But like, it's weird. If you look back at all the readings so far, these words are hauntingly like relating to the message. So this was for thoughts and goodness. And remember, we were talking about the negativity of others affecting our lives and how difficult it's to navigate and to stay positive amid a lot of downward pressure in everything that we do. So this is encouraging you to have resilience and in goodness. And the thing is, don't get discouraged if the continuum of goodness is disrupted. The point isn't to maintain continuity. I mean, you can try as much as you want. That's great. But I don't think it's healthy or normal to expect perfection. You can have your down days. You can fall down. The point is to get back up and reconnect. And with this conjunction, I think you get a really good opportunity to once again be good or convey goodness to others. Okay, so here we have depth, awakening, free will, depth. So something very deep for Virgos is rising up. That's what I think. It's a very mystical sort of message, but it is like a spirit quest or something within you is calling out from deep within and wanting to get you to go somewhere, to change your space. And it's definitely confronting resistance. That's a huge message here as well, which really makes sense because let me show you the astrology. We have Uranus right at the top of your chart. I love this. The next 15 years, I'm here for it. I'm a Virgo and I'm so happy for this. Screw my rising sign, like I claim Virgo because Uranus at the top of our chart is a blessing. It's so freaking good. So I hope you're excited about this. We'll talk about this more. I did a special on it. It's in the Virgo playlist in the description if you're wanting to get some info now about it, but we'll talk about it more later. So Uranus right at the top of the chart for Virgo is just the unexpected and a little strange. And I would say try to be strange in whatever way. It doesn't have to be something like silly. It can be anything that's unique to you and march to the beat of your own drummer sort of energy. Pretty exciting. Okay. So I forgot which card. I guess I was using the angel cards for these as well, so we'll leave them here. Okay, so let's talk about the astrology for Virgo of Jupiter and Neptune in the 7th house. So this is in the 7th house of partnership, right? So whatever, I think honestly, reflecting upon Virgo readings for the last 10 years or whatever, I would really say that restriction from people, how do you say this? On a whole, I don't know how to lead in, so I don't know how to explain it. On the whole, I think we should think about Chiron, and this is true whether you're any sign. So Chiron is I am, right? In Aries. And so we are collectively confronting who we are as people, and there are truths about us that are being confronted right now. This is the global level of Chiron in Aries. And so who we are is contextualized by the way that people treat us. And one of the major motifs that I'm noticing is that we're confronting who we are to each other and how we support each other or lack thereof. The biggest example, and I don't mean to be political, but I'm just going to quote Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine. He has stated multiple times in public spheres, you guys are letting us down. Now, I'm just saying he stated this. And he's saying things like, that other people are profiting from what's happening in Ukraine and that the level of help is mitigated by that. We're seeing this confrontation. And so in that statement and in that very graphic, very extreme experience, we can see how do I say this? How people quietly help themselves at the expense of others. And so when it happens to us, it's deeply personal. For example, with Pick a Card and All Sign readings, I created these readings, and because of the nature of social media, I didn't get much of an opportunity to address them. I will still, but other things came up. Having said that, the response from some people in the community was very, discouraging of what people are. People quietly help themselves to something that was not theirs in order to bolster their own views or to make money or whatever from pure egoism, right? And so, or jealousy. And so the point of that is that as Virgos, now that's a very these are explicit examples of how people quietly work against us and how people quietly allow the suffering of others because it favors their situation or it favors their circumstances. And so for Virgos, it's on all levels, right? Zelensky's an Aquarius, but that's not the point. The point is Chiron in Aries showing us really changing our perspectives, and many of us have confronted over the last 5 years how we are actually being treated by others, right? How they're willing to treat us, who we are to them, etc. And so the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter is deeply tied with that, because maybe you're looking around and seeing people around you, or maybe you have seen up to this point people around you not living up to expectations, letting you down in moments when you needed them. Were they actually there for you? Who are your friends? Who is your family? Right? And so I think we're confronting that. I think that we for a time and a place, there was a strict moral code of conduct in which people who treated other people poorly were really looked down upon. So if people, and they still did, but there was all this gaslighting around it. There was all these lies. And so people would still treat others poorly, but yet there was this, because of religion, there was this sort of shaming that was going on. So people get a bad reputation for doing that. And so over the last 15 years, 20 years, I think that there's been a decompression of that, because I think of plurality, because the world has become a diversified place, which means that we don't have as much accountability to each other as we used to, which means you don't necessarily know the people that you're dealing with, like dating apps. You don't really know that person can treat you however they want because they can disappear out of your life after. I'm kind of anti-dating apps, but that's why, in part, that there's no accountability. And I think that with this Chiron, this is getting to be a long explanation, but I think it's a good point. So this Chiron in Aries, in some way, we're seeing the consequences of a lack of accountability. And more people are getting hurt by people doing this. And as more people experience, being hurt or harmed by others' complete lack of care towards how their behavior affects them, or trying to be opportunists and capitalize on others' suffering, then I think that is now leading us into a phase collectively, no matter what sign, of confronting that and saying, how are we going to address this? And I think this is going to work itself out over the next 15 years, 20 years, whatever. So we're in that interesting transition phase as a society to confront saying, hey, suddenly we've become a very narcissistic culture. We've become a culture that does not support other people, in which people can take advantage of others with no consequence, and to a level that's kind of scary. And many of you have experienced this regardless of sign. But for Virgos, what's happening now is this identifying that that's front and center, how people around you have quietly been working against your goodwill and your good situation. And now with the Neptune and Jupiter conjunction in the 7th house, I think opportunity for true partnership is there. So I know that that's a long explanation, but I hope it's inspirational. I think that you're essentially meant to do the uncanny. You're meant to do things differently, meant to do things your own way. I think your dependence on other people's opinions is really being diminished here. And so with this pattern, and this is a pattern that will last for the rest of your life, including the 3 sets of pairs that I just picked. So just be aware of that we're entering into some very interesting, intense, and long-term frequencies here. And I think it has a lot to do with independence, and then finding people in your independence once you've established yourself or what you're about. So don't try to anxiously look for the approval of others. Don't anxiously look for a team effort. Do it yourself, and then wait for the people who get what you're doing and align with that, who are ready to support you, instead of trying to encourage or play along with how people who are not supporting you, who are there right now, are working against you by their negativity. Apply your positivity and rise above. Okay, so this is going to be a horoscope spread. We're going to start with the 1st house. And so I see the moon here in Virgo. That's going to be tomorrow. Right now, the moon is in the 12th house as I read, but we're going to see how the conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter affects your 1st house. It's an opposition to Virgo. So I think that a lot of your personal life your personal self will be impacted by your relationships with other people. Let's see what we get. So we have this insight, High Priestess, and then we have the King of Wands. There's a silent supporter. I really feel as though you have a person or people who maybe you don't recognize or you don't give enough credit to, but there's definitely someone who sees your logic, somebody who sees your point of view, and I think they're a great support. And then we have King of Pentacles, which is you, Virgo. It's just saying, really, with respect, be open to partnership, right? Which is this. But we're talking about the 1st house. There's people coming in, and these two come up for Virgo all the time together. So these are aspects of you, and then there's also people around you. The thing about the King of Wands that I get about them as a message for you is that they're always like unwelcoming, almost like you're not welcoming them so much for whatever reason. You may even take them for granted, but they're really a great emotional support or spiritual, energetic support for you. The King of Pentacles is you standing up for yourself and standing into your own energy. So it's very, very, how do you say, like a defiant energy, resilience. So you get that message, which is very similar with the 3 pairs that we picked. So, screw everyone else. This is a doubling down of energy. Focus on yourself, Virgo. Second house, let's do this. So, second house is the 4 of Wands. So homes and opportunities, a lot of money's going into your home. And then we have Ace of Pentacles. There's prosperity there. Let's see the next message. And then we have a new beginning. Some of you might be looking for new homes, new purchases. With this market, I really hesitate to give financial advice. I think things are looking really, really rocky. So moving forward, so I'm not going to say anything specifically about money, tenderness, but I do think that there's a lot of prosperity in the home for you, financial prosperity with new beginnings. This is ruled by Uranus. So it's up here in the 9th house, atypical. So in other words, you have to not go by the playbook. You have to write your own playbook on this, and then you will find great success. And those of you who resist that, you will not benefit from it. And those of you who are able to do that, then you will find success. So do it your own way, find your own path. Very strong message for Virgo. And then we have the South Node here in Scorpio in the 3rd house. The 3rd house has become much more for me the neighborhood, Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, right? So let's see what kind of energy is here. What's close to home? And the South Node, of course, in Scorpio is alongside the IC, which is deeply connected to your early childhood experiences and so forth. And so a lot of releasing expectations, what you've been conditioned with. Be a good girl, be a good boy, conform. And so this huge energy is anti-conformist. So, even if you're a conservative, Virgo, you're going against the grain a lot, and you should make peace with that and try to do well with it. So embrace it. Okay, so we have Ace of Wands here, which is a new beginning, a real change in your neighborhood, a change in community. This is a reframing of things. So whatever you've been told to believe is really going out the door. And then we have Justice, which is Libra, and balance and fairness. So yeah, things are working themselves out. We have exploration. You're meant to try to revisit or look at things from a different perspective. So things that you already know to be true, your neighborhood, you're meant to try in a different way. So, if you had one type of experience growing up, or your negative impressions that you had about things that you're meant to revisit them because there's new things for you there, new relationships, reconnect with your community. There's new friends there. Things are going to resolve themselves. It's like a new, how do I say, new approach, a different path. And by the way, these positions are trining this conjunction in the 7th house. So new opportunities for partnerships, meaning if you have a very strong opinion, I shared my opinion about some people in Canada, and I could become very bitter by what's happened and the way people are here. But I think that, like, for that example, what I would say is challenge that environment, challenge that. And even within a crappy environment, crappy social environment, you can still find some pretty nice people with some goodwill and some open-mindedness, right? So this is what I'm getting here in the 3rd house, that this conditioning or whatever that's going on that you're releasing through this year in some way is being coupled with new opportunities and new relationships. So that's very nice for Virgo. Okay, so now let's take a look at your 4th house. 4th house has a lot to do with house and home. It has to do with family, and it can refer to the mother or the father, depending on how you look at it. Let's see the next message. So we have the High Priestess again. So truth. Somebody's telling you a truth that you had a hard time how do I say this? You had a hard time to confront before, but there's an aspect of truth to it. We have the Hierophant. You heard me shuffling, so it's completely random. These are the same cards coming up. Hard to confront truths, uncomfortable situations in which there's something redeemable. There's actually something good in a society or a community that you don't actually very like at this time. Maybe that ties into this whole conversation about Chiron and Aries and about how many people are displeased by, the way things have turned out and the way how we're being treating each other and how certain people choose to treat other people and get away with it. And we have Two of Pentacles. So there's a little bit of shifting around that's going on in your home because of this conjunction in partnerships. So partnerships are changing, and so therefore maybe you're meant to sort of move around, and I don't mean physically move around, although some of you may move around. You're meant to sort of try on different spaces and be in different places. And then we have depth. So you're seeking depth. There's the answer is not going to be superficial, and it's going to be heavily nuanced. It's going to deeply integrated, and I think that trust your intuition to give things a try. If your intuition is saying go in this direction, go try this or be open to this person or this situation, and you say no, you're just missing an opportunity. So really trust your intuition when it says go challenge your environment, go do this. Okay. So now we're going to move into the 5th house. So this was a huge area in your chart at the beginning of the year, and now it's going to deeply decompress. This has thrown a monkey wrench into Virgo's dating life many times over because Pluto's been a handful. I didn't mention it before so much because, of course, I don't want to be pessimistic, but if you had a difficult time in relationships and love, Pluto in the 5th house has not been an easy transit. It's basically meeting people for romance, and that romance being sort of filled with, I don't know, the romance being filled with issues of power imbalances, or someone trying to have power over you, or very despotic people, or very hyperbolic people, violent people emotionally. So you may have experienced a variety of relationships that have been just power struggles with others. And so as Pluto leaves this area, I think that you'll see a great softening to your experience of love. Because Virgo is very similar to Cancer in that sense that they're very sensitive sign. That's how Virgo and Cancer are deeply compatible. And so Pluto in your 5th house is like, holy crap, what am I dealing with? So you may have had lots of those types of moments. And in relation to the 7th house of partnership, you might be actually leading into much more subtle experiences with other people. You may have had a 12-year string of just weird experiences with people who are emotionally overpowering or overbearing relationships. And so that may have left you with shaken up or being tired from, your relatedness to others. But I think that that's going to really soften up over the next couple years. Okay, so let's see your cards for the 5th house. So we have the 7 of Cups, which is Venus in Scorpio. So people have not been who they say they were. I think that Virgo's pretty tired. So as a Virgo, I told you my experience. I think it's the only way I can explain it, what I'm seeing. But I think that many Virgos are essentially, how do I say this? You can come to conclusions about your experiences and say all Canadians are just racist bigots and I hate them all, right? But then that would be jaded, and then I would be participating in that system of oppression. And so for Virgos, what I would say is whatever kind of, even if it's warranted, even if you have a string of experiences that are just pessimistic and not very positive, I think that what you're seeing is in that minutia of difficult relationships and difficult experiences, finding the hope, which is your 7th house conjunction, and through that finding alliances and good relationships with positive dynamics. And then we have the 3 of Cups. For some of you, this means looking back in your life and saying, oh, that person wasn't so bad, I'll give them another shot. There's a reconnection there. And then we have the Emperor. Wow. So maybe looking back to something that you've walked past. I'm not one particularly to support people going back to old relationships. I think oftentimes they're gone for a reason, but this is saying like revisit something, revisit an energy. You have an Emperor here. And since we're talking about Jupiter and Neptune in the 7th house, that is about partnership, right? And so the Emperor kind of coming out in the 7th house, asserting their energy and being front and center. In the 5th house, there's something levels up into the 7th house. Something gets more serious, something gets better. And I think that there's a fair bit of confusion around your circumstances. Let's see the next message. We have a bit of a risk again. So Virgo is being challenged to take risks at this time. So this like take the risk, take the next step. And the risks are happening because you have North Node and Uranus and now Mercury in the 7th house, that in the 9th house, sorry. So you're being challenged. Like you're supposed to break the system. You're supposed to break the system. You know, like it's almost like sitting in a desk day in, day out. You're supposed to get out of that desk and sort of do things differently. Okay. Sorry, I just saw a truck pass a car in a 1 lane. It was kind of scary. So anyway, so now let's move on to the 6th house, which is the house that Virgo rules. Let's see what kind of messages we have for Jupiter and Neptune there. So we have the 6 of Pentacles, which is Moon in Taurus. And let's see what else we have. We have the 10 of Swords, which is Sun in Gemini. And then we have the Page of Wands. Virgo, it's saying for you to step away from certain environments. It's basically the people that you give to, the people that you energetically or financially or physically give to that are dead ends. And that no human is a dead end, but in some way, circumstances are depleting you, and some people are not giving to you the energy that you deserve. And so you have the Page of Wands saying you need to actually change your physical environment. You need to change this. The huge message for you so far is change the system around you, change the environment that you're in. Here is the next message. We have the Obedience card. So conformity, obedience. It's like so that truck that just passed the car in the 1 lane street, and it's not like a big busy highway, it's like a normal road right here, and so one passed the other one just going very fast. Like, why are you doing that? That's, you know, he's not doing the right thing, but like we're all meant to sort of, why are we doing what we're doing? Like, of course, stay in your 1 lane, but also at the same time, sometimes that 1 lane, you need to do things differently. Sometimes you need to question why you're doing what you're doing. Are you being conditioned to do what you need to do? And maybe in some way that's disadvantageous for you. Maybe that's not so good that you're doing what you're doing right now. So especially if you're looking at your everyday interactions with people, and if you're seeing them as one-way streets, which means that they're not giving back to you in the same way that you are giving to them, I think that in some way that's going to start breaking down, and you're going to really be drawn towards other directions. I think that it's going to be a stepping away. Enough waiting around. It very much feels like Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett. It's this these people waiting for something, the unintelligible, waiting for the unintelligible. And we all get stuck waiting for something that just is sort of maybe not coming, or it's not even about whether it's coming or not. It's the being stuck in something that's not changing, and even forgetting why you're there in the first place. Like, you're not even questioning why you're doing what you're doing. So Virgo's really challenging the system with this. And I think this conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter provides for you relationships that are supposed to be supportive in that. So in some way, the people who profit off of your conformity, not speaking up, not rocking the boat, so that they can benefit, especially at your expense, like Zelensky and Ukraine. Like, don't question, we're giving you all these weapons, we're giving you all of this, when in fact they're not taking this next step to stop this situation, or not questioning the system that suppressed my videos and promoted other people that took a game that I created for my own purposes, and people just kind of whistling up at the sky with that situation, quietly profiting. We all have these situations. It's not a drama club, but the point is that all those types of dynamics, like, what are you conforming to? The opportunism of other people. And so with Neptune and Jupiter in the 7th house, this is a blessing, this is a miracle, this is a connection with people who that is such a toxic thing that's happening in our culture. And so with this Neptune Jupiter conjunction, you're getting this antithetical energy to that. You're getting the alternative. People who will respect your boundaries and people who will not try to level you with the crowd. Here is the next message. We have the Knight of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. This card just wants to be seen. We have the Page of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Wit and smart minds, very, very smart people, new ideas, fresh ideas, air signs. I don't know why air signs are coming up, but they're very important. And then 5 of Swords. Combative energies. Some people will give you resistance, Virgo. Some people will see new perspectives. But I think for this time, it's saying don't wait for them to get it. Don't wait for them to get what you're doing. Don't wait for them to conform. And I think essentially it's screaming at the ocean, trying to convince people who have already made up their mind or already made a choice is sort of wasting your time. You will do much better forming alliances with better aligned people. And who said that if you're not getting the type of response from people that you need to get from them, you've not found your audience. That's a very famous quote that I'm paraphrasing, but basically, if people are giving you resistance, and if people are, this is swords, so like they're mentally blocking you. If there's people giving you resistance or not trying to go with the flow, I think that you're going to find different opportunities in very different directions rather than those people. It's just a confirmation, and you have clarity on that. So you have clarity, whether it's internal. For me, a lot of this is very internal. A lot of this has been like aha, and like getting little downloads here and there about truth and what we are and who we are and where we are and the time and all of these different things. And I heard a quote today that if you're too far ahead of the crowd, if you're too far ahead in terms of your thinking, you become a martyr, and that's not a good thing. So you want to be a leader. So essentially, you can't change the way that you think. If you honestly think what you think, if you honestly believe what you believe, you just need to reframe it and not necessarily give it to others for their approval. Same message again. So, but this is very redeemable. So just not to be pessimistic. This Page of Swords, you're going to inspire some people, and people who are either fairly young or people and they're going to be your allies. So rather than trying to convince this Knight of Swords with this combative energy ready for a fight, who's going to say no to anything you say, regardless, I think that you should still say what you need to say, and you still need to do what you need to do, because the Page of Swords is going to be inspired and is going to be your ally. So good things will come to that. New relationships, basically a shift in who your partners are. And then we have the 8th house, was where the sun is, but this is a much more longer term perspective, Virgo. So let's see what we have going on here. We have the 5 of Cups here. It's a lot of people letting you down, and they may not be, how do you say this? It's not explicit necessarily. It's not like but they're fundamental betrayals that have been going on in your relationships, in not supporting you, in letting you down when things, in the way that they shouldn't have, right? But I think that in some way, this is you, Virgo, and maybe there's people who facilitate for you a different direction. And so there's King of Cups energy. There are people around you who support you, who want to take you in a new direction, in a new route. And you have the Knight of Pentacles energy here, which is sort of taking you far away from those dynamics. Basically, you're being too kind to people who are treating you like a stranger. I think that's the best way to explain it. And it's coming up again and again. You've been too kind. And so over the years, over a long period of time, when they should have done certain things or when they should have said something kind to you, they didn't. And now you're really feeling the impact of that. And you're thinking to yourself, like, they really smart ass move, opportunism. And so just like Zelensky, when I watched, it was an interview that he did with The Economist. I really encourage you guys to see it. And he was just like, he's like, you know, he wasn't being rude, but he was like, there, it's like, some, and this isn't Zelensky, I think this is Slavoj Žižek. Some people benefit from long wars, right? Some people benefit from things being extended. And so rather than like my Bitcoin idea, like nip it in the bud, stop it right there, you know, that's the primary objective. It seems like it's like getting people refuse to take the risk and take the hit because they're self-serving, bottom line. And so, and I think that that's breaking down. I think that we're at a high point of that energy now. And I think that people are getting sick and tired of it. And so for you, Virgo, I think that this is, you know, you've been too nice to people who have been giving you the Five of Cups. Okay. And so there's people facilitating for you a new direction. So do that. And then you have harmony. So it is all in harmony of things. It is about, how do you say, make hospitability. So making other people feel too welcome without deserving it. Okay. So sorry, this is so intense. Then we have the 9th house, which is the North Node with Uranus. And so how is that affecting your new relationships? Basically, I can tell you right now, it's a new perspective. How do I say? Not new perspective. It's like a new way. The way you want to do things, who you are, is different than the playbook, and you should not hold back from doing it. Definitely not this year. You should definitely just stop trying to conform, Virgo. Just go in your own way. Okay, so let's see your cards. We have the Four of Pentacles. There's been resistance to that. I really can't do this because of X, Y, Z. But then it brings you great happiness and great joy to just go. It's almost like a levee breaking, which means like you cannot hold this back anymore. And then you have the Two of Cups. You will find friendship on the other side of this. So basically you have to take that risk, that card we kept on getting. You have to take that risk and challenge your environment and go and do your own thing. And you will find your community there. You will find your the people who will respond to it, who will hear you out. You're screaming at the ocean, Virgo, or you have been. And I think that it's the end of it. And then we have discernment. And I think that it's facilitated through partnership, though. So with the 7th house and Neptune, it's powerful connections with people who genuinely support you, right? And you have this discernment. You can only go on with lies for so long. Lies make us sick. So if you're living a lie, then you're constantly feeling dis-ease and uncomfortable. And so at some point, you just have to break. The good sometimes outshines the bad. And if you've been trolling along with the bad for so long, the good, finally, it's like a no-brainer choice at some point. So even if you've been resisting, I think the positive pressure is going to get greater, meaning the benefits of doing something good that inspires you, that makes you happy, will massively outshine anything negative about that's holding you back. So, or the fear of the potential of changing. So the pressure is mounting. And then we have the 10th house. Here we have Ceres, but Ceres is only there for a short time. And so this is a square to this placement. So in other words, this Neptune isn't going to necessarily be so great for your social life, or for your, not social life, but for like your career or who you are. Like, it's not necessarily going to be accepted right at first, but it's necessary, right? So it's you know, it's that martyrdom issue. So when you're a martyr, right, you're standing against things that people accept, or you're standing against things that people are comfortable with. And so therefore, when you embrace that, it's a challenge and a threat. So not necessarily like your public image or your public space will be necessarily so easygoing because of this, but you still have to do it, and ultimately you will choose to do it. Change your environment and do it differently, and confront, this energy here. And at a certain point, this too will benefit, but at first there's going to be resistance. Okay. Like, your job will be like, why do you have pink hair, or whatever. But like, you're like, I have to have pink hair right now, or whatever it is. It's just a funny example. No shade to anyone with pink hair. So we have the World, and then we have the Two of Cups, which is love. Yeah, I think that you need to break your system. And Lovers, which is the energy of Gemini. You have to go bigger. I think that any dissatisfaction that you're feeling has to do with like the scope. You're relating to a too small group of people. You need to go beyond them, because they have you trapped through your hospitability. And then we have support. So you need to break the system so that you can get this. There's love waiting for you on the other side. And while you're being oppressed, while you're being suppressed, the tall poppy syndrome, it's very hard to really connect with the good energy. So first step is to get rid of the bad vibe. Okay. Then we have the 11th house. Easy to say, harder to do. And this is not something you need to do right away. This is something that's going to be a pattern for the next while. Like I said, I'm going to leave this video in the playlist for every single sign forever, because it's literally the rest of our lives. So hopefully this reading helps you guys. Okay, so now we have the 11th house. This is more the friends. The 10th house has a lot more to do with your reputation and what you do. This is your friends and allies, technology. Good luck. We have the 10 of Wands. And then we have the 5 of Cups. Leaving friends behind in some situations is going to be hard, but then it's going to lead to positive changes. So, sometimes it's like you have to move away from a place because it's not good, and you have to leave the people and the situations that are positive, but ultimately there will be a good outcome. This is the card of Jupiter. And so this position is actually trining this here. And so you need to do whatever you need to do and change your environment and go different directions. You have to have freedom. So you have to embrace freedom. And yes, some friendships are going to go because of it, because you'll have to go somewhere else because you have to do something. But I think the outcome is very positive. Also, this is saying put some effort into things, especially things to do with technology. Put some effort into whatever you need to do. Put in the legwork, because the outcomes will be positive. So yeah, put the effort in for good outcomes. And then the last house for Virgo is the 12th house, which is not necessarily the easiest angle to the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter. So the 12th house it's not going to be positively, or it's more of a neutral position. So let's see. And the 12th house has a lot to do with the subconscious and thinking deeper and broader. So we have the 8 of Wands, some messages coming in. Yeah, you will receive encouraging messages from 5 of Cups. Fight that disappointment, Virgo. You have to be very bold with this energy. You have to be challenging. Then we have the Devil. little messages will come to you to encourage you to push ahead, to forge ahead. This energy of the conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter is forge ahead to find those alliances. It's almost like Cinderella. Your foot's going into the slipper that's too small for you, and rather than, I'm not going to even say what they do in the story, right? But instead of mutilating yourself to fit into it, find a shoe that fits, right? So just go and keep on reaching for the higher energy at this time. Be self-sufficient, be self-reliant, and know that those positive influences are coming in. So I hope you guys like this reading. This was I had a long message for Virgo. Lots to say, but I hope it was helpful, and thank you for all being here. Now I'm going to move on to Taurus. Taurus? Yes, Taurus, because Taurus is sort of a big deal right now for the next month. We're heading into Taurus season very soon, so that's exciting, and happy birthday, Tauruses. But the next little while will be big for Taurus, and this is Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. A lot of positive energy there. There is going to be a Mercury retrograde between Gemini and Taurus at the end. I think it's May that it begins, right? Or maybe in May, right? And so that will have Mercury go retrograde from the second house into the first house. But the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter is in your 11th house, Taurus. So this is capitalized on your social relationships. So what this means is, how do I say this? Like, the friendships that you have are really going to have the opportunity to get you to successful places. And with all this positive energy in your first house, you really have an opportunity to sort of, how do I say this? Capitalize or benefit off of the good energy to bring more social relationships in. I didn't mean to do the astrology right away, so let's first take a look at the Braille messages. Let's see what they have to say. So we have three sets of 2. So we have divine protection, very powerful friends around you, Taurus. And then we have the Hanged Man. So very good friends, guide you for protection and offering. There's lessons to be learned. I think that the lesson for Taurus is that people are not necessarily going away as fast as you think. So your assumption is that a relationship will come to an end or a relationship is ending, but you're going to see the continuity of relationships in your life. Then we have growth, and then we have free will again, which is the Moon card. And so I think that you have great potentials at this time to grow, to move forward. And I think you're meant to trust your intuition a lot with these energies about which are good opportunities for you. The 11th house, where the conjunction is the house of good luck. And so there's a lot of opportunity for you if you trust your intuition. Here is the next message. We have the releasing card, number 48. And then we have coming out, releasing and coming out. It almost feels like a little seed, because this is the season in which, of course, we have all these little seedlings and everything is growing. And so it really feels like you're incubating yourself. And that self, with the help and nurture of nice friends and nice people around you, is going to lead to you coming, like flowering, you coming into yourself. So you're very much, it feels like a cocoon. It feels like a seed that you're in. And you are leading, and you're coming out soon to be a flower, a plant, or whatever else. So we have divine protection and offering. So friends supporting you and being around you. And there's that deep kindness. You give what you get what you give, right, Taurus? So you've been giving people a lot of kindness wherever you are. You have been kind to people, even in bad situations. And now their energy to you is the same. And then you have the growth and the free will. We have expansiveness, growth and free will with expansiveness. And so I think that, like I said, that whole idea of choosing, of going in the direction that you need to go, the potential to come out of yourself, trusting your intuition. There's potential. It feels like there's a lot of potential for you to grow. So this is, I think this is called aragonite, right? And this is a crystal that looks like it's exploding. It's like, it looks like a little, explosion of crystals. And this is a crystal of expansion. And I feel that for you, a lot of expansion in many directions and the opportunity to grow in many directions, releasing and coming out. So this is the little seed growing into a plant. And so we have play. So it doesn't have to be all serious. It doesn't have to be all these different things. I think that you're seeing a lot of potential in many directions, Taurus. Very, very kindness from friends, personal growth and expansion, trusting your intuition towards new directions, and then also something within yourself that has been hidden is coming out. So far, all 2 of the earth signs that we've had has to do with sort of emergence, whereas the water signs were much more, the focus was relationships. For you earth signs, the energy is much more emerging of a side of yourself that is not necessarily hasn't been front and center up until this point. So let's see your astrology. So like I said, the conjunction is in your 11th house. The 11th house is friendship. The 11th house is technology. And it's the house of good luck and opportunities. So you're getting this sort of portal energy. Very similar to Virgo. Virgo has this transit in her 9th house or in their 9th house. Tauruses are getting the Uranus North Node conjunction in their 1st house. And so as this is kind of applying, which means it's coming together closer over the next 6 months, you are going to be increasingly, you're meant to do things your own way. And your path isn't in alignment necessarily with others' path. And so therefore, the Neptune-Jupiter conjunction is helping you find people. And remember, think globally. Don't think so close to home with this one. That global expansion, that global connection to the world and the people there and the opportunities and the luck there that's allowing you to be the unique person that you are. So it's a very nice energy. So very happy for you. So let's see where this growth is coming from. Let's take a look at the tarot. So first we're going to take a look at the 1st house. So this is the house of the self. And this is in relation to the Neptune and Jupiter conjunction. So let's see. We have the star. You have very, very lucky things you must do. This is the card of Aquarius. Very lucky things you must do. And then we have the 4 of Cups. 4 of Cups. You're receiving offers such as, and the Hermit. Okay, so you will receive some types of offer or something is being given to you that is taking you in some type of direction. A part of that journey means that you'll be by yourself. This is ruled by Virgo, but it's not necessarily Virgo. It could be you. And so there will be opportunities that come into your life that will take you in a direction that's more solitary, but they will greatly have a benefit for you in terms of your personality, in terms of who you are, and especially your connectedness with other people, how that connects to other people. So you're going to grow into the person that you need to be in order to connect with the people that you are meant to know. So go on those things that are given. Let's see the next message. We have sisterhood and brotherhood. So sometimes there's going to be some kind of opportunity for Tauruses that are going to take you away from what's the familiar and what's the comfortable. But when you go there, when you try it, it's going to give you the openness and the opportunity for new, very close relationships with people that you need to meet, that you need to have in your life. 2nd house. So when we're talking about the 2nd house, it's usually about money. So let's see how the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter is affecting that. This is not necessarily the easiest angle. So I don't think you should be looking at your relationships with others connected with money at this point. I don't think it's going to be helpful. So delays. it's people are expensive. And this is, if you're a therapist or if you work with clients, or if you're a doctor or something, everybody knows this. People work. There's a huge discrepancy between, people work and, how do I say this, and money. So in order to provide adequate care for people, it's so expensive. Like, it's the service provider. A lot of therapy, a lot of psychology is designed the way it is because to provide true analysis would be extremely expensive and extremely problematic. And so people take time. They're expensive. It's kind of like, how do I say this? To give adequate care, to give support or services to people, it's not a fast solution. And so your relationships with other people that seem to be the driving force of this energy may delay financial things, but that doesn't mean you'll financially have difficulty. It's just your focus is on other people and less on money. Here is the next message, 4 of Cups. This is coming up so much. So an offer is being made, things coming up. You have to try different things. I think that you'll see that some things will work with people, other things will not. So what I see here is someone giving you an offer of some type. And that not necessarily that being like complicated and not being so easy, but you're still supposed to go have that experience. So you'll get other things out. You'll benefit other things out of that. The Knight of Wands, like a unreliable person, but people are messy, and yet it's a catch-22, and yet you have to do it that way in order to find your success. Then we have purpose, and in doing that, in blundering and in trying different things, you'll find your way, Taurus, especially with money, with the finances. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 3rd house. The 3rd house has a lot to do with cousins and brothers and neighborhood and short distance travel, things that are near. And this is a good energy for you. King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra with regard to the conjunction. And then we have the World card. And then we have the Death card. Okay. So something is holding you back from going further away. Something is keeping you near, keeping you close, keeping you comfortable. There's a relationship with someone else that's keeping you from broadening your horizons, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Your relationship with someone else is your own choice. This is the card blanche, which means that it does not have like a specific message. It means whatever you choose to do. But what this is saying is that there's someone who's very close to you that's preventing you from going further away. And whatever that relationship entails, you're making that choice. Now, the Death card can mean that you choose to end that, but more than anything else, I feel like the complex nature of your relationship is preventing you from going further away, because you feel responsibility, or you feel maybe not responsibility, but you feel some kind of attachment, right? And so I think that modification with your relationship to the world around you is connected to that person. So somebody's your anchor. Somebody's holding you down or holding you back in some instances. And you can choose whatever you want to do with it. This is just saying that there's that aspect of it. Okay, so now let's see the 4th house and see how that relates to the conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter. The 4th house is the house of the house of, the mother, the father, relationships, family, that kind of thing. We have the 10 of Wands. It's starting to feel like you have a heavy responsibility, Taurus, and something that keeps taking you back to people that you experience resistance through. I don't know what to tell you about this, but I can pick up what what it's saying. What it's saying is that you have primary relationships with people that are preventing you from really doing this, from really changing. And that's the resistance of your sign. Maybe you're a very flexible person, but your sign is a fixed sign. And so maybe the circumstances around you are more fixed, which means like maybe you would be more willing to be more flexible. And maybe you're even secretly craving it, but maybe there's aspects of your life that are holding you back or holding you down. Maybe there's nostalgia there. Maybe there's, too many things going on with your family for you to leave, right? So for whatever reason, what's coming up as a message is that there's a resistance. You're ready for a bunch of change here. And I think you'll get a certain degree of it, but I also think that there's people around you that you choose to stick around because of who they are and what they mean. Here is your card, Synthesis. I sense frustration, Taurus, honestly. I sense that maybe this is a frustrating aspect of your experience. But I think that in the big picture, it's all going to work out. And I know that sounds like, just kind words or whatever. But I do think that there's like, it's all integrating and it's all harmonizing. It's all synthesizing in some way. So if at this time you can't do as much as you want to, if you can't expand as much as you wish, it's a free will choice that you're making. You're making that choice to stay in your situation out of the contingency of a relationship you have with someone. And it doesn't mean like romance necessarily. It could be like family or someone like, I don't know, like because someone is disabled or someone has some kind of limitation on them. This is a very complex energy. I sense frustration because you choose to stay because of the principles, but then at the same time, you really want to go and it's frustrating. So it is what it is. But the Synthesis card is saying that it's going to work out. Like at the end of the day, it's all going to work itself out. It's all going to really, you're feeling the tension, but at the end of the day, it's going to be good. So right now you feel stressed out or worried about it, but ultimately the fact that this is happening is a good thing. Okay. So that was weird. So we have the 5th house, which is relationships. Let's see how that relates to Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. That's opposite energy. So let's see. So we have the friendship. This is more the 2 of Cups, more of a friendship card than the romance card. Let's see the next energy. Then we have the King of Wands, Sag, Leo, or Aries. It really feels as though your friends take you away from romantic situations or romantic possibilities. You have a lot of responsibilities to other people. That's what I keep seeing and feeling. You have responsibilities to other people, and that's affecting your romance and your romantic life. And you may have already missed an opportunity in love because of the complex nature of your social relationships. Let's see this. So how do I say this? Basically like a spotlight. When the spotlight is shining heavily on your friends, your love life is getting much less attention. And so relaxation. And so I think that you have an accountability to your friends. This feels sad that there's a possibility that someone really wants your affection and wants your attention, but you're focused on others. But I think you just need to let it go and let it be, because it will work out in the end. And the stress that someone is infusing into this situation, it feels very like controlling or harping down or wanting a situation to be a certain way without considering you as the big picture. So if you're like, oh, I'm missing out on love because of all these responsibilities. If you feel like you're missing out on love because of all these responsibilities, I think that basically there's like layers to this. that actually makes sense, even though it's inconvenient to hear right now. And so you think you're missing out on something, but I think it's going to work out. It's either going to work out, or there's a reason, there's a bigger picture problem that's going on with this situation or this person. Okay? So your friends are gold and important. Don't allow romantic situations to make you feel a certain type of way about it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 6th house, which is Libra in your chart. The 6th house has a lot to do with daily events in your life. And let's see how the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune affects this. So money is abundant and positive for you. There's new opportunities coming out of that financial situation. And then we have the Page of Wands. You're meant to go in a new direction. I just feel like keep doing what you're doing. This is what it's saying. Keep doing what you're doing. And there's conflicts of interest because there's such a concentrated focus on friends that takes away from other things. But at the end of the day, it is that focus that is going to lead into something very magical for you, if that makes sense. So it feels awkward or uncomfortable because you want to be everything for everyone. You want to have a holistic experience. But I think that emphasis ultimately leads you to new opportunities. That experience leads you to the next stage. And so you just have to put up with the discomfort of having conflicts of interest in your life at this time. It's a part of the transition. Okay, so, and it's very, very important that you stick to what you're doing, that you stick to the friends that you have, that you keep diversifying your experience, because that will lead to new opportunities and just so much luck. And then we have, what card we have? The willingness to change. It really feels like you are open to flexibility. You are open to change. But the things around you, the systems around you are holding you back. Or they're, like I said, like you can't just up and move because you are responsible to helping someone who's disabled, or you can't let them down. There's things in your life, tangible things that are difficult for you to integrate, and you just need to put up with it for now, because that will lead to good things. And these are just temptations, and life will change regardless. And this is like a conflict of interest. I don't know how to explain it any other way. Okay, so the next energy is the 7th house. At this time, it's a lot of purging of relationships for Taurus, old patterns and so forth. We'll do a North Node video separately, but this is a trine between the Jupiter, Neptune, and the South Node, which is very, very important. So I just think that for Taurus, the focus is away from partnerships. Right now, partnerships are yucky. They're full of guck. That's why the South Node is there, to clean it up. And what the residual of relationships has become left a sour taste in your mouth. And so right now, your friendships and relationships are very, very abundant, and they're bringing a lot into your life. So I think that, it's a huge, I know, I'm sorry to say this for those of you who are looking for love, but love will be at this time just not displeasing, but at this time, love is not going to be, there's a huge cleanup in your area of partnership and love. And it's kind of meant to pull things out and restructure them for you. And whereas this friend area where the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is happening is very benefic and it's very giving to you. And even if it's a conflict of interest with other things, you should still reach for it, because it'll bring you great abundance. So we have the 4 of Swords next. And this is for the 7th house. So relationships are taking a sleeper. 5 of Swords. There may be things in your relationships that have come up that are, how do you say this? There may be things in your relationships that have come up that are hard to accept. There may be things in your relationships that are how do you say, hard to accept. Five of Swords is like, you know, when someone says something and like once they say it, you just remember it. And so until you forget what they said, you connect them to the memory of what they said, and it's just like it paints like a negative picture. So this is saying that something soured about your perception of another one, particularly a partner, particularly someone you love, and you can't get it out of your head, and you're meant to rest from that situation, from that perspective. And then we have the Justice card, which is just neutrality, or reaching neutrality with regard to a situation. So basically, I think that there's like rest, and I think that there's something about your partnership that's really uncomfortable or displeasing, or it's not working very well, and there's like a need for rest, less focus on that, a shift in focus in a different direction. Let's see the next message. We have the Integrity card. So something, it's basically you're looking at your partner, and this may not be romantic, but this may be with a partner like at work, like a business partner or a boss or something. But there's a question of integrity of someone who's very close to you, and I think that you're confronting something about that relationship that needs to rest. I don't know how to say that. I sense disappointment. I sense disappointment in terms of what someone said, or it's just they're not living up to the standard. They're not giving you the energy. And so the Justice card is wait it out until it's neutralized again. Again, this may be an aspect of perception. So how do I say this? So a part of it could be your expectations that need a rest as well. So it's not necessarily an unredeemable situation. You may come to realize that you are putting too many expectations on one individual. So I'm not pointing the finger of blame, but it really looks like a situation needs rest. And right now you're seeing it maybe with a lack of integrity, and it needs time to show its integrity again. So rather than an end of a relationship, I actually think that it's saying that a relationship will continue, but for now it needs to chill. Okay, we have the 8th house placements. And so again, this is a stress angle. So resistant to change. I think many of you may want to change certain things as you are experiencing conflicts of interest, but I don't think this is the time to do it right now. I think that will just add to complexity. So you just have to bide your time and wait. We have 7 of Swords here, which is Moon in Aquarius. And then we have the 9 of Wands, waiting for the right situation. It's and then 9 of Pentacles. So what this is saying, Taurus, is you're meant to wait. You're meant to wait for the time. This will come with a financial positive outcome. So there's a situation in which there is a desire for change. You desire change, but it feels very tenuous, which means that when and how and in what way feels very uncomfortable. And I think that your outcome is fine. So fight the urge to make a change too quickly at this time. The outcome will be financially positive for you, so look forward to that. And I think that there will be moments in which you're like sitting there waiting, just hoping to like write the resignation letter or put an end to this, put an end to a relationship, but try to fight that urge, because ultimately your lack of reactivity is the way through. It's the right way to do it. Let's see the next message. We have courage. So it's like actually the courage, sometimes the courage is to leap like this angel, but I think that what this is saying is that the courage to hold on to a situation, to let it play out, allow it to have its way, allow it to have its say. Okay, so rather than change, restrict, and hold back from change at this time, even if you're feeling like you're torn in many directions. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the 9th house, which is Capricorn. And this is like a very strong new beginning for the conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter. This is like your mind, Taurus. This is where your mind's at with relation to this. So this is a very, I'm just realizing how holistic. I'm sorry if it's so detailed, but it's really like, it's cracking. I didn't realize how detailed this reading would be when I designed it. And I'm like, holy crap. It's like really like getting at details of situations. So I hope you guys like it. You know, we'll see. Okay, so 9th house with the 11th house, we have the French. This is the ruler of the 11th house where the conjunction is happening. And then this is the 5th house. And then the 8 of Wands. This is saying that like opening up your mind and being generous and being kind, especially to the weak, and in moments like yourself. So yourself, not self-serving, your generosity, your kindness to others, bringing light to others' lives is extremely lucky. So when you see someone hurting, the act of trying to help, the act of giving to someone is giving you major luck. And it comes through your expansion and perspective. So that means you're learning as things are happening, which means you go through life and you see someone struggling and you have this point of expansion in terms of your mind. And you're like, hey, I need to be kind to this person. I need to be generous. And when you do that, that leads to very good luck for you. And it will lead to a very good outcome for you. Which means that maybe in that situation, that person may not be able to help you out. But by virtue of being generous, of helping the weak, helping the people who are hurting, saying a kind thing to the person who's suffering, it just gives you such an energetic, positive experience. And then you have power. So your power and generosity. The moon in Taurus, which is an exalted moon, is 6 of Pentacles, which is the card after this. And that's the card of giving to someone. So there's this energy of being called. I don't want to get too religious or anything, but there's that evangelical sort of quality to this, of being generous to someone, giving to someone, and gaining power from that experience. Okay? That's very, very important, I think. So 10th house. So this is where Saturn is. Right now, your careers might be going through a bit of a change. You might be changing who you are, and your career is taking a hit based on that, and that's okay. But let's see how that relates to the 11th house and the conjunction of Jupiter and Neptune. So we have the World card, which is broadening horizons. I just really feel like friends, Knight of Pentacles, going in a new direction. Your friends are going to be catalyst events for new opportunities. I really feel like you should not be worried about personal relationships or jobs or things in your immediate environment, because I think that the people that you connect with through this time and through this energy, the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, will lead into broadening horizons, new opportunities. You're going to change. So like your job, essentially, like don't quit your day job, but ultimately I think your friends and your social connections are going to lead you into broader, bigger things. You're meant to step into bigger things, and that will be through the connections you make through the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter. You have authenticity. It's like a good reputation, right? Like people like you, people like what you're about. They know you help the poor. They know that you help the infirm. And with you can say that about yourself, but people who have known you for a while, they know that about you, right? And so it's through your action that that's shown. And so they say, oh, Taurus, like they always do that. I know that about them. Good reputation. And this is the conjunction of the 11th house. So we already know what this is about. This is really about the quality of nature of your friendships that are coming to pass. And that being in conflict, like, it's basically like people trying to fit into an elevator. Too many people, and in this case, it's not people necessarily, it's just things in your life. Too many things are cramming in together, and it feels very stuck because there's so much conflict of interest. But don't shy away from that energy, Taurus. You're meant to sort of stick it out, and it's like this is so many little crystals. There's just not enough room for all of them, right? Okay, so let's see this energy. So we have the 7 of Cups, which is Venus in Scorpio. And then we have the 4 of Swords. And then we have the 9 of Pentacles. So I just think that you're not meant to focus on the what. You're just meant to go and have the experience with the people you know, and that's going to lead you to financial success. I see success for you from the relationships that you're having right now, the connections. And then we have tenderness. Again, good reputation. People know that about you. People, no need to convince them, no need to try to strategize or figure things out. By virtue of your connections, allow your relationships to grow at this time. It's going to lead into wonderful outcomes, successful outcomes, financial outcomes for you. Okay? So that's a message. And then last but not least, the 12th house. So this is not necessarily the easiest aspect for the conjunction, but it's kind of like a blind spot. So let's see what's going on in your 12th house. Your reading is much more, I know this is very abstract, but your reading is much more practical and literal as compared to something like Virgo's was much more how do you say, like mystical, right? It was very, very ambiguous at times. It was very deeply connected with instincts and intuition. Yours is just simply like, go be you in these spaces and don't worry about conflicts of interest with other things. Just approach everything with authenticity and it's going to work out, and trust the process. That's what it's saying. Let's see the 12th house for Taurus. We have the 7 of Cups. Okay. And then we have the World card. And then we have the 9 of Wands. I think you're waiting. There's a fair bit of like waiting for things to work out, Taurus. So just make sure that you're waiting for the right things to work out. And don't try to problem solve too many different pieces because you'll just get overwhelmed. Try to work through all your conflicts of interest, meaning you need to be in two places at the same time, with authenticity and with authenticity to both, and you'll be fine. And then we have joy and great celebration. So I don't think your situation is so like implicit. I think it's very explicit. You're doing things and you're connecting with people, and out of those connections, good things come, and out of these connections, good things will happen. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this reading. Thank you for joining me, and I wish you all the best with this conjunction. I wish you all of good luck. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so now let's see. That was very intense for me. So now let's take a look at Capricorn. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. So thank you guys for being here, and welcome to the new members. Thank you for becoming a member. So Capricorn. So Capricorn is a neat energy right now because for the first time in several years, the energy is it's becoming much less prominent. So it became very, very prominent over the last couple years, and now it's decreasing a lot. And that's a nice thing for Capricorns because you get to catch your breath, and much less is it's not that you're, how do you say, less successful or less is happening for you. It's that essentially, let's see. And so essentially what that means is that less is being imposed upon you, and you're more self-directed, which for me is great because I'm a very self-directed person. And so hopefully you guys like that energy as well. And you get more choice in this energy as opposed to before. Before you were reacting to things in your environment, and now you get to just do more of what makes sense to you now. Okay, so let's pick some Braille cards for Capricorn. The conjunction, by the way, is happening in your 3rd house, which is the house of the community. It's the house of people near you. I think that this is a rootedness point. So essentially, like, you're connecting more to the familiar. It's much more reconnecting with people and situations that are important for you, that are resonant for you. Okay, so let's see these cards. So in other words, much more focus in an area of life that you've been longing for. Much more connection to your community, your environment, your neighborhood. Okay, even your siblings. So we have making real is the first energy. And then we have thought. Making real thought. I think it really gives me the energy of like working, how do I say this? Having like a pet project at the house, working on something at home to create it without interruptions. You have some type of idea that you're working on, and you're getting space and you're receiving space to make it happen. That's what I think this means. And then we have listening. And then we have loneliness. Listening and... So this is for Capricorn energy. I think that Capricorn energy is kind of lonely at this time. And this is because of the concentration. Let me show you guys. Because of the concentration in Capricorn for a very long time, whenever we push into the extremes, we become more lonely. So basically, as this Capricorn energy diffused now and has pushed out, the one thing that you're left with amid success, tons of success, is an air of being more separated from others. And so this conjunction with Neptune and Jupiter is deeply connected to you reconnecting with people on a big pattern and building a community up again and bringing more focus to relationships that matter. And so this is like hearing your inner voice saying, hey, I'm feeling really alone. I've achieved all these things, but I feel very alone. And so working very hard to try to address that and bring people in. Okay, so let's see the next message. We have the path, and then we have preparing. So what it seems to me from all the 3 messages for Capricorn is that there are definitely, you're working towards something, you're working to achieve something, and it's starting close to home. And I think that you're preparing for a next journey. It's almost like you've come back to what's familiar, and now you are replanning the next stage. There's something really big ahead of you, and you're working on things. Meanwhile, your need for other people in your life is also being addressed. I don't know if this is through your cousins or your brothers, siblings, but I think that there's 2 parts. These 2 are really talking about something up ahead of you, Capricorn, a new opportunity, preparing for a new path. And this is really talking about listening to your needs of companionship and friendship, which means that you need to take care of that or bring that in. And that's what's going to come in for you now, because your life has become sort of out of balance in the effect that there's so much success, so much focus on success, and maybe your relationships have gone under nurtured. Let's pick some cards for this to see. So we have sisterhood, brotherhood, which is in alignment with the astrology because Jupiter is joining Neptune in your third house of siblings. So I think you have an idea about something, and this will be different for every single one of you. But I think you're going to try to make something happen, or make like, there's like a plan that you're trying to figure out. And it could be connected to relationships with other people, changing the way people interact. Like this could be something like buying a coffee shop in your hometown and bringing people together, like sort of changing the environment, but you're doing it on your own to the side for now, trying to figure out how to make it happen. Okay, so now let's see the next one, which is listening and loneliness. And we have tenderness. So listening to yourself, there's definitely a need to address feelings of loneliness, feelings of isolation. You've worked really hard to achieve what you've achieved, but you want people there. The next message is celebration, which is path and preparing. Celebration, path and preparing. So what's up ahead is pretty exciting for you, Capricorn, I think. But I think that, how do I say this? It's almost like you're coming back with the things that you have earned and coming back with the things that you have tried to achieve. And you're bringing into this situation, it's almost like you have like an ace up your sleeve. So you have some kind of a goal, some kind of direction that you have a strategy, you have a grand strategy that you want to enact. And I think that not everybody, like people don't know what you're up to. Maybe you don't know yet, but there's a plan that you're about to pursue that's going to be very successful. And I think that there's like, you're just figuring out your trajectory, how to achieve it and how to get there. So yeah, so there's definitely some, this is, how do I say this? It's almost like you finished some type of project and now you're taking care of your social life. And moving forward at the same time, you're also already trying to create something new that will also be very successful. So it's pretty exciting, actually, to see that. I wonder what it is. I wonder what it is. There's something up ahead that you're creating you're pretty excited about. Let's see. Okay, so now let's talk about the houses. Hold on. So let's talk about the houses for every single sign as it relates to Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. Sorry, I'm not very comfortable, not sitting comfortably. So I'm trying to move around. Okay, so the conjunction between Neptune and Jupiter is happening in your third house. And what this represents is that everything to do with your community, things close to home, bringing things close to home, making things practical. There's a real benefit or success for you, which is close to where you are in your neighborhood, in your close to your house or in your close area. And so there's some opportunities for you. You might have figured out something that's really great for you to pursue, that you really want to pursue at this time. And also, I think that there's a fair bit of separation from people that you've known up until this point, like friends. I think that it really seems like it's a time for you of transition, and it's a time for you to switch to the new directions that you're about to take. Okay, so let's go through every single house and let's take a look at how the energy of the conjunction affects that area of your life. So we'll start with the first house, which is Pluto. And so this is a very nice energy and relation. This is a very nice effect on your personality. It's a very nice effect on your personality. So let's take a look at Jupiter-Neptune conjunction as how it affects you're getting to be, how do I say this? I know exactly what I'm trying to describe. So Capricorn, you've been on a mission for a while, and you were completing some type of project or some time in your life that was completely, how do I say this? involved in some type of situation. And so you've been absorbed into like a path that you've been on, and you've completed that job is over, or that path is now kind of finishing up. And so now you're bringing that energy into close to home, and with that added knowledge and experience, there's something that's growing for you. There's a new growth that's possible for you. You're applying that in new directions, something close to home. You're building it up. You've seen an opportunity. It's almost like someone who brings back a new technology from travel abroad. You're bringing something in, you're bringing in a new perspective, and you're about to begin to grow. You have something in mind and you're wanting to make that happen, and it's going to be successful. Let's see the next message. We have the 5 of Pentacles. Oh, hold on. I had dropped the cards. 5 of Pentacles. I think that you're really wanting to be of service to others. You have an idea in terms of what you can do for others, or in terms of what you can begin. For some of you, is a business idea. Even though with Saturn there, it's kind of a more challenging time to begin new things. You see what works really well and what doesn't. I really feel as though you have some kind of perspective on how you want to, you see what's missing. You see what the environment is missing, and you're wanting to provide it. So that's pretty exciting. It's going to take some time to make it happen. Let's see the next message. We have beauty. So I don't know if this is like building a garden. You're figuring out something that someone or something is lacking, and you're providing into that environment some type of benefit, and it's going to be increase in beauty. Okay, so let's take a look at your second house. So this is where Saturn is. Like I said, Saturn is in your second house, so beginning new projects and stuff at this time, how do I say this? It's going to be difficult or more complicated, but also at the same time, you can see what is smart financially and what's not smart to do. So where you should put your money and your time in, and so forth. And so as Saturn leaves Aquarius over the next year and a half, then you are going to get a much more easygoing process that is of a financial nature. So you don't have to rush into this project or this idea. You're just starting this new path. And when Pluto enters into the second house, you're going to have very, very lucky time financially. Let's see your cards for the conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter. And in the second house, we have the 3 of Swords, and then we have the Knight of Pentacles, and then we have the Page of Swords. I'll say that for some of you, you might have gone through or going through some kind of disappointment with regard to work, that is prompting you to leave a job or leave a financial situation, but you're going to start something new that's going to be successful as a byproduct of this. Expectancy. You saw something and you made certain decisions based on what you saw, and that led you to certain expectations. So I feel as though the anticipation of something, you saw the writing on the wall in a situation, and now you're making decisions in response to that. It's what I see is a great strategist energy for you now. I think that you're really taking a look at your current immediate environment right here. And I think that you're really drawing upon your strengths and your recent experiences to capitalize on that and make success out of the things that you've perceived. So now let's take a look at the third house, which is where the conjunction is happening. So let's see what's growing for you there. So we have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. And we have the 4 of Pentacles, Sun in Capricorn. And 9 of Swords. You know what this looks like to me? That some people, how do I say this? You see people not doing something as efficiently as it could be done. And I think that you're going to try to create something in that space, in your environment, that's going to be more profitable or easier. You see an opportunity, and so you're going to pursue that. Those people are going to stand against you, but I don't think you should worry about that. I think you should pursue your idea. I hope that I'm making it clear. Again, this is very specific, but basically the pattern that's coming up is you've gone through a set of experiences, you've learned your lessons, and now you are meant to pursue a new opportunity, something close to home. And when you pursue that, you will find success, integrity. It's almost like, okay, so you know how sometimes like something's being gate kept or gatekeeping. And so, for example, let's talk about education, because this is a common one. So like education at university has been gate kept for a long time, meaning only some people get to access certain information because that's how they make money, right? And now all these people have figured out, oh, we can actually educate online and through different opportunities, these institutions are holding back information that we can offer for cheap or for free. And so it's almost like somebody's not doing something that they could be, and they're profiting off of it. And you come in, you're like, hey, that can be much better. And what they're doing is not full of integrity. It's kind of gatekeeping or some kind of restriction. And so I think that basically you're having this epiphany, you're having this awareness point to see, I can do this better, or I can figure out this better. And so you see their lack of integrity as an opportunity for you to enter into with a better solution. And I think it's going to be very successful. So somebody's just making somebody's just really messing up on some things. Let's see the next message. So this is the fourth house. The fourth house is home. This is a bit of a blind spot with regard to the energy of Jupiter and Neptune, but let's see how it's affecting it nonetheless. I think it's going to be positive because there's a huge shift, 5 of Pentacles, towards for you, like much more oriented to people around you and your community. Ace of Cups. So somebody's going to go through something, and it's going to give you an opportunity to become closer. They're going to need help and support from you. And Ace of Cups. So let's say if your family is being distant because you have not been around so much, somebody might go through something in which you will get the opportunity for them to rely on you. You will get the opportunity to be there for someone, and that's going to build up your relationship again. So I think one of the major themes that I'm seeing for your sign is trust, building up trust and building up the opportunity. So you just simply have not been around so much for people, and now you get to be around a lot more, and so therefore you get to build up those relationships. That's really nice. Okay, so now let's see the 5th house. So this is very fortunate for you in relation to the conjunction. It's very good. I just think that you're going to be in a much more relaxed energy. And so in the 5th house, I think romance can become very much easier. Let's see the next, the message. So we have the 2 of Wands, change in perspective. You know, when you're run off your feet and you can't relax and you just become very stressed out and resistant. I think right now you're going to be much more inspired, much more open to new relationships and new connections. Look, the Emperor came up. I think that some of you, especially like if you're single, if you're looking for a relationship, there could be like a secret admirer or a love relationship that appears in your life out of, indirectly, so unexpectedly. I think that you get to tap into a side of yourself that's more easygoing, and with that comes a new relationship. Let's see what card we have. Very open. It's up to you. The energy of love for you is the unexpected. We have the North Node in Uranus here. Just be very open. I see as though, it really feels as though, this is how I'm seeing this reading. You have been very straight edge, doing what you need to do to achieve what you need to do. And that made you very unapproachable. And now I see as this softening with this Neptune and Jupiter energy, and that's positively affecting your romance and your relationships. So love becomes more possible, even unexpectedly. Even without that being the focus, love comes into your life. Let's see the 6th house. So we have 7 of Swords. And then we have the 2 of Cups in the reverse. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles. Someone is leaving a relationship around you at this time. Someone is leaving a relationship around you at this time, which is a relationship that had pulled someone who you like away from you, and that person's coming back into your life more. So that means that, you know, your best friend got a girlfriend who doesn't like you, and so therefore you never see your best friend anymore. That relationship is separating, and soon that friend will be more into your life. So that's good. Somebody's coming back into your life as on a daily basis because a situation for them is sort of changing. And so we have purpose. There's a deeper connection. This is someone who you've probably really regretted losing in your life. And now I feel as though this is someone you've regretted losing in your life, and it feels as though this is a welcome change. So again, so the 2 themes that we have is this, you starting something new, a new beginning. And then the other part is refocus on friends and community and them coming back in. So this is another person who's coming into your life. It's very clear in terms of the 2 things that are happening with this energy here. So bringing people in close and much more friend oriented. This is the house of siblings. So it's much more friends, much more, you know, cousins, someone you're close with, as opposed to like love. But love is possible too. Don't worry. And then we have the 7th house, which is kind of understated in this energy, but it is a positive energy. Again, I really feel like your openness, how do I say, like your openness to your community, your openness to what's like the people around you, the connection with others, is making you so much more approachable now, and it's giving you such an opportunity to just build out your friendships, build out your connections, and even your partnerships too in the 7th house. Let's see the energy here. We have the Ace of Swords. Somebody might write you something very important that you're going to be very happy with, because we have the Sun. Someone from the past reaching out to you. It's like finally you're not so busy. 7 of Wands. There's things between the 2 of you that you need to work out, but just trust the fact that you're very, very happy in the situation. I think that like somebody wants to reach out to you or is going to reach out, and there's things between the 2 of you that are difficult, which is the 7 of Wands. There's things between the 2 of you that are difficult, but you need to work through them because the underlying layer is that you're both very happy to be reconnecting. You want each other in each other's lives. Let's see the card, the angel card. We have expressiveness. Somebody's going to tell you how they feel. Somebody's going to, you're getting welcomed back into the social sphere. And I don't mean the social sphere up here, not like public life, career. This is very community oriented. This is your family. This is people close to you. This is people who you know very well. And new people will come in of that nature as well at this time. Okay? So it's like, it's not very much like how popular you are. This is about getting back into your inner circle. Okay? So then we have the 8th house with Leo. This is a bit of a blind spot in terms of change. It's more of a neutral position, so it's not so much how the conjunction is going to affect that in a negative way. We have the King of Swords, Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra. Secondary transits in fire, Sagittarius or Aries. Then we have the 4 of Swords. Someone's making a big decision. You're waiting on someone to make a decision. So this is for those of you who are getting a divorce. Your ex-partner might be stalling on signing some papers and that's causing delays in a situation. The King of Swords, somebody's being resistant and controlling in a situation that needs to end, or that you're waiting for it to end, and it's causing delays. Somebody's controlling, but you're just relaxing. You're letting them do it. You're letting them, have their process or whatever it is. But it is causing delays to some, like, in terms of things changing, in terms of things progressing. It's almost like you're waiting for that reference letter, and your ex-boss is taking a very long time to write it. There's some type of delay that's produced by the fact that somebody's being resistant. Okay? But it's not forever. And then you have kindness, and I think that's you, Four of Swords, being kind about the situation. So let's say your ex-husband is having a hard time signing the divorce. Then you're like, I'm just going to rest, and I'll just give it time. I'll let them figure it out. I'll let them sort it out. And you just coming to this person with a lot of kindness. I don't feel as though it's affecting you very much, but the Hanged Man does feel like it's a bit of an inconvenience, like you wish it was just over, but also at the same time, I don't think it's going to put you out in a terrible way. Okay? So somebody around you is resistant to change, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt. So we have more little balls come through. Let's see the next message. So this is now the 9th house. So this is where your ideas are. This is opposite to where Neptune and Jupiter are joining. The 9th house, opposite of the 3rd house. There's things in your life that want to pull you away from the things that are happening close to home. We have the 7 of Cups. There's maybe if it was different, if I went somewhere else, or if I went back to the big city, or whatever it is that's kind of on your mind. 6 of Swords. I know I wrote Wands. That's just a mistake. But anyway, so I think for those of you who are not satisfied with your current environment, it's too close, or it's too small, or whatever else, I think the opportunity to move away will come sooner or later. So you don't need to worry that you'll be stuck there forever. I think that you'll ultimately get to move on and go. And I think that a lot of the things that you're daydreaming about, it would be nice to I don't know, we all have our dreams. It would be nice to travel or to go this and that. But I think that these, in some way, they're just little fantasies for now. So in other words, your desire, what's happening for you close to home is not going to trap you forever. And you are going to get to go, Capricorn, far away if you choose to do so. And some of the things that you're daydreaming about, yes, it's somewhat triggering because it reminds you that you want to go somewhere, you want to travel or whatever, you want to change your life. But I think none of them are very serious. So, and I think you know that. So let's see. There will be an opportunity. And then you have trust. So there's going to be a situation that comes up for you that's going to offer something really good. This is the card of Sagittarius. In time, if you really want to go far away, if you want to travel, if you want to move, it's going to be for a situation that you know very well already. So it's going to be someone who you trust, someone who you know. You're just going to know that you can put your faith in this situation, but it's not going to be fast, and it's not going to be you're going to leave right away. You will leave. So in other words, don't start freaking out that there's so much focus so close to home. If you have big ambitions or big goals or big dreams, those things will happen, but maybe not quite right now. Right now, you're really meant to focus on things that are close to home, and those family things, and just your relationships with others. The next step will come, and for those of you who want to take it, it will be available. And the person that you meet, the person who will be a part of that, or the situation, is a situation that you'll trust and know very well. Okay, so now let's move on to the 10th house. And so this is a very kind of, it's a blind spot, excuse me. So in terms of the focus of this conjunction doesn't have a lot to do with, your career or your public life. It's like, even it could feel like it's pulling you away from things. It's not bringing enough focus there. But I think you've had enough of that. And I think you need to, I think many of you just desire to not have that to be the focus. You've had too much of a good thing is not necessarily always a good thing. And so it's really pulling you away from your public status or public focus. We have the Five of Pentacles. There's a deep concern for people that you know, very concerned, and a deep desire to help others. That's really nice, Capricorn. And the Four of Swords. I feel as though many of you are dealing with conscience, which means that you feel responsible to other people. And I think that acting upon that need to help others and to fulfill your role towards them, be it siblings, like help your brother build their business or help your cousin with whatever else, is actually putting your mind to rest. So that's what your real need to do right now is. And it isn't so serious. You've been very serious for a very long time. And so now this is a more easygoing energy. Okay. Now let's see the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of friendship, and it represents the house of luck and opportunities. Right now, you're sort of, how do I say this? People who you're close with are important. Friends are less important at this time. Not less important. It's that basically you're going through at this time and just sort of clearing out what doesn't work. And so the conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune in the third house brings more of a focus on people who are in your inner circle, and a more of a easier path to letting go of friends that are not necessarily as kindred spirits to you. Okay, so we have the moon. I sense resistance. I sense guilt of letting go of certain friends that are not very good friends for you. We have the Page of Pentacles, new beginnings. People are offering you new things, and the Ten of Wands. Be careful of friends offering you opportunities at this time that will once again riddle your life with too many responsibilities. I really feel as though, it seems as though, looking at your whole chart, it really looks as though you're meant to, how do I say this? You're meant to work your way through what you have instead of adding new things in right away, if that makes sense. That's a really huge kind of energy that's been with us through the whole chart. So work with what you have, work with the idea that's in your head instead of starting to bring in new things. Capricorns have a real knack for bringing new things on board. And sometimes that's depletes your ability to focus on other things. Okay. And again, play. I picked the same card just by mistake, but that's not a bad message for you. It's like, take it a little bit more easy, have a little bit more fun. Be careful of overdoing it. Be careful of trying to like make friends and like make things happen at an expense to like your ability to do as many things as you want to do. Okay. So last but not least is the 12th house. And so this is a stress angle, which means that in certain ways, the conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune, it makes you feel very uncomfortable. And we can see that because the way that Capricorn is, you're sort of like out there, out and about, out in the world, achieving your dreams, or like always ambitious, always trying to make things happen. And this energy is much more, it's antithetical to that. It's opposite to that. Because it's basically saying like more focus on the quality and the nature of your relationships. Fewer is better. All those kinds of things are coming up. So your 12th house, which is your subconscious, in some way it's deeply connected to your subconscious, I should say. I think that in the 12th house, it will feel resistance. It will feel like I want to go do this. I want to break out. I want to go and, win again. I want to make more money. I want to achieve, and diversify. Whereas this is saying like, no, just nurture the things that are around you and take it easy. Did you notice how many times the Four of Swords came up? It's like rest. You need rest. There's this need for rest. Okay, so let's see this energy. So we have the Three of Pentacles. Yeah, this workaholic sort of energy. If I'm not doing anything, I'm worthless, And then the Magician, the inspiration. Oh, I could do this or I could do that, and I can learn this and success. And in some way that is healthy too. That's a good thing, because ultimately you will act upon it and you will find success. But right now it's about nurturing what you have. So allow those points of tension, that feeling that you could be doing more, that feeling that you can challenge yourself more at this time. Yeah, it's going to be persistent. Ultimately, that's going to lead to inspiration, and you're going to achieve so much by the inspiration that you're receiving through this. But right now, just focus on the task at hand. Here is the next message. So you have intention. So it's okay. It's like if you're feeling like, oh, I need to go do this, or I need to be more productive, that's good, because ultimately you will use that as your inspiration to set your intentions and do the things that you're inspired to. So there are definitely things percolating in your mind, Capricorn, but for now, just focus on those two things. That thing that you're working on, the thing on the back burner that you've wanted to bring to the front, and nurturing those relationships that have been neglected, especially your family relationships and people near you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a very, very specific reading. I'm kind of surprised at how intense it is. And hello to the new members. I've got 2, so thank you for joining. This was really fun, and I'll be back with more. And I hope you guys are enjoying the Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. It's a really big one, so enjoy it.